to our top story now. The Prime Minister has ordered massive concessions on the government's controversial welfare bill in a bid to win over rebel Labour MPs. We can speak now to disability activist Abigail Broomfield. Abigail, really good to see you on Sky News. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. Are you won over by these concessions?
Absolutely not. And there's a lot of anger from the disability community over these cuts. Over these concessions, over these cuts. It's been a very difficult time. We're not won over because one, it's going to create a two-tier system for disabled people, and those who are going to become disabled in future. It doesn't go into enough detail. So, for example, it says existing PIP claimants, but what about those who aren't able to claim PIP currently because they're going through tribunal? Or what about those who are transitioning, especially children from disability living allowance to PIP? There's just a lot of uncertainty and there's a lot of anger within the disability community that we've not been consulted and we've not been given an opportunity to speak about it.
I think a lot of the detail is going to become clearer earlier next week. But would you say that where we are now is better than where we were 24 hours ago?
Particularly, I wouldn't say so because, again, it doesn't have what I know. There's details next week, but these are our lives they're playing with at the moment. We still don't know what's going to happen to those who are disabled on universal credits, contributions-based ESA, and we're really against the government creating a two-tier disability system. We want a welfare system which is created for disabled people by disabled people, and this is why a lot of us still want these amendments to go ahead, to be listened to, and for MPs not to give in to these concessions because they're just ridiculous.
But several 100,000 people, though, are going to be relieved, aren't they? Those who are receiving PIP, for example.
Yeah, so I am actually one of those people who will now become protected, but actually I'm not going to be protected because what happens when we get reassessed? What happens if DWP, for example, accidentally close our claim because there is human error in the system? There's just not enough concessions there at the moment.
The government needs to do something, though, don't they? I mean, the welfare bill is almost predicted to double in 10 years.
Okay, so the government could look at instituting a wealth tax. The welfare system does need reforming. However, nothing can be done correctly without safeguarding disabled people if they don't actually speak to us. And that's a big issue that we faced because they just won't talk to us. They've not engaged with disabled organisations. There's just not enough information out there, and whilst they want to push work, they're cutting access to work. There's not enough safeguardings in place for us. So while some MPs may think on paper this is a great deal, actually when you speak to the community, and I've been up most of the last 12 hours, 24 hours since it broke, trying to talk to people, they're not happy. There's a lot of unhappiness and anger here.
But part of what the government is conceding on, and one of the things that being put out there as potentially an opportunity, is closer involvement with the disability community in the formulation of policy. You don't seem to be taking much comfort from that.
No, I'm not taking much comfort from that because, they've offered to speak to these organisations. They did a consultation which ends on the 30th, but they're not consulting on the whole bill. They're only picking and choosing what they talk about. And, we need to get the bill counselled initially. That's our first aim. Then we'll all sit around the table. We'll all talk to them. tell them real life experiences, because it has been very difficult in the last few months since the announcements of the Green Paper in March. Even the rumours, I've had people reach out to me struggling with their mental health as a consequence of this, as a consequence of what my MP Liz Kendall's doing.
Just one final thing. I mean, what is your message for MPs? Because many, Meg Hillier, for example, who was not going to support this bill, now says that she will, and she says she's had a flurry of messages from other MPs who think that it is a good step forward and will also now support it. What is your message to them, Abigail?
My message to those MPs who are now considering supporting this bill is to phone up their disabled constituents, speak to them directly before making their decisions. And I've encouraged disabled people to contact their MP today, to contact them via email, phone, in person if they can, to tell them what they don't like about this concessions. Because at the end of it, if it's not going to include all of us, then it's not worth the paper it's being written on.
All right. Really good to get your perspective on Sky News. Abigail Broomfield, thank you.